Hey there, it's been a while, and today I wanted to do a build video, but I wanted to do it a little differently. Today I wanted to do a build video showing you how to put together a PVS-14 using used parts. And the reason you may want to build your own using used parts is that frankly, a brand new device or brand new parts are very expensive. And night vision is kind of like golf clubs where a lot of people use them a couple of times and then realize that they don't use it often and that, you have thousands of dollars just sitting. So a lot of people end up selling them, and as a result, you could get a lot of parts and you could get even an entire unit for much cheaper than buying them new from a retailer. So if you're a little short on money, but you want to build out your own night vision and get a really good PVS-14, this may be the way to do it because you're saving some money, you're learning more about the devices, and it's a win-win all around. So I wanted to just show you guys some of the parts that I got on the web and what to look out for and how to do a build. So here we go. Okay, so this is just your traditional PVS-14 housing. This is your typical Carson or Noctis housing, and typically you could get one with Fuji lenses. This one's a Fuji. The rear lens is also Fuji for about $600 to $620 used in like new condition. And you could get some more like beaten up ones for less, but typically you can find a like new one for about $600 to $620. And things to watch out for are the battery posts. So if you see one online that's used, you want to check that the battery posts are not cracked because these are very sensitive to over torquing, and if you over torque it, you'll get these vertical cracks, and that's something you want to watch out for. And it's not a deal breaker. You could still hold a seal when you purge the item, but you want something that you can get in like closest to pristine as possible. So that's one thing to look out for. Okay, so let's say you got your used part and you used housing, and then you're ready to build. So there's a couple more things you want to watch out for. Once you get the item, inspect the threads. These are polymer threads, and the parts that you'll be, threading in are metal, like this retaining ring. So you want to inspect the threads inside and also on the outside. And this one looks pretty good, but what you want to look out for is that sometimes a lot of people cross thread the retaining rings because these are very fine threads, and what can happen is that the threads inside will literally break off or peel off. So that's something you want to watch out for. And the next thing you want to watch out for is when you open the battery compartment, just be very careful because a lot of times used housings, they'll have this ribbon cable in place. And the reason why a lot of people just leave them in place is that it's a little tricky to reach with your finger. You can get the outer one right here pretty easily and pull it off, but for the inner one right here, you ideally need a tool. So I have like this dental pick tool, and it's flat. Let's see if I could get it to focus. Yeah, it's flat on this side, so I could just pry up on the pins right here and it will come right off without damaging anything. Easy. Okay, so once you get your battery compartment off of the main housing, another thing you want to verify is that these two contact springs right here, because if you hold it like this, they should more or less be parallel. The springs right here, they're kind of small. Let's see, get it to focus. So these springs right here, when you turn it over to the side, should be parallel to the rest of the housing. And the reason why this is important is that if it's pushed down a little bit, the springs won't make contact with your intensifier tube, and you'll have a situation where your tube might flicker when you use and not turn on consistently. So that's something to look out for. For the most part, it'll be fine, but I did have actually a brand new housing where the springs were pressed down a little bit and it was not making good contact with my intensifier too, so I had to just gently lift it up. These are very fragile, so you want to be very careful if you have to do that. Okay, besides that, I'll just go over some of the tools that I'm using, and you'll also need for your build. You'll need an Allen wrench for your screws for your battery compartment. You'll need this tiny Allen wrench as well for the infinity focus ring, where there's a little screw in there that you have to tighten up. You want your wrench for your lenses, and you want this little circular tool for the retaining ring, and you want this tool, which I won't have to use today because the lens is already pre-installed, but you need this for the ring that holds your objective lens in place. So you'll need all three. And you could get these tools on eBay for like $40, so they're not that expensive. And also, I don't have an actual purge kit, but I use this to purge my unit. This is argon. And you need a can of air to get all the dust off your lenses and all your parts, because dust will be your worst enemy when you're building this out. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I also got this intensifier tube used as well, and let's see, let's get this off. Okay, so this is my Elbit intensifier tube, and you can tell right here that the pigtails, let's see if I can get this to focus as well, they're a little crooked, so I'm gonna get some like what are these called? So I'm going to take these tweezers and straighten them out because they'll need to be installed onto the battery compartment, and they're a little crooked right now, so I just have to be very gentle and just straighten them out, which won't be a big deal. Okay, so I'll leave that off to the side. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is dust off all your parts. So let's give it a nice dusting so that everything falls away. Same thing with the lenses. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is let's get this intensifier tube out and give it a dusting as well. Okay, so I'm going to install this, and I also want to mention that I got this used as well, and it was about $1,950, and it is a 2200 FOM intensifier tube. So I got very lucky, and you know, patience does pay off, so just look out for the deals and you could find a used intensifier tube for a good price. Okay, so let's install this. Okay, I am going to feed the pigtail in first. And there's an indexing pin right here where you slot in the intensifier tube into the pin. And like I said earlier, the pins are crooked, so I'm going to straighten them out a little bit. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is connect it to the battery compartment. I'm sorry, before I do that, I'm going to hook up the ribbon cables again. Okay, once you have your ribbon cable attached, feed this back in. Again, use the indexing pin to lock it into place. And now install the pigtail onto the board. Okay. Okay. Alright, after you connected the pigtail, close it up. And very carefully screw the screws in. And again, be very careful about the amount of torque you apply. Make sure you just get it nice and snug. Because the last thing you want to do is to crack your housing. Okay, so I'm gonna spray it with some air again to get any dust out. Okay, now for the light pipe. So light pipes are labeled to tell you. Alright, so the light pipe is next, and it tells you which side is supposed to be facing up. So it says up right there, so this is the way it goes in. And you want to line up the notch with the notch in the intensifier tube. This notch. Alright, just make sure everything is flush. Alright, and next is your retaining ring. Just be very careful. If you feel any resistance, stop, because you're likely cross-threading. Alright, and everything looks flush in there, so it looks good. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is dust it off some more. And then I'm going to install my lens. If you need to, apply some lubricant on the threads. Alright, that's it. Pretty straightforward, huh? So the last thing you have to do is, there's a grub screw in here. So what you want to do is turn on the unit, focus on a star that you see in the sky, go past it about like 10 more degrees, and then screw in the grub screw and fix this ring in place. And that's really about it. So the last thing we have to do is to purge these units. So there's a screw right here, you just open it up and you spray this argon in there. So let's do that real quick. Okay, take the screw off. Okay, now let's test it by throwing a battery in there and seeing if it turns on. And there you go, it turns on. Great. Okay, sounds good. Build is complete. Alright guys, if you like this video, give me a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.